Welcome to Fire Up Your Life for Business, sponsored by Sunshine Movers. Hi, Blake. Welcome to Fire Up Your Life. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Tony. Thanks for having me.
I'm super thankful that you came on. We've known each other for a little while now, and I love the relationship that we have and the synergy that we have working together. And I just think that I love being your walking commercial, and I think that this is, a kind of continuation of that, and getting really to know you and putting who you are out there for people, because everyone that meets you really appreciates everything that you do. So, give me a quick introduction of who you are, where you're from, and what is your business?
Absolutely. Blake Fitzpatrick, of course. I was born and raised here. I'm about 35 years ago. I was born in this little town over here, Bradenton. Never left. Started a moving company 9 years ago at the age of 24. It's a full-service moving company. We pack, we move. We also act somewhat of a concierge service because we try to handle every problem that could come across the customer's way during the moving process. And it also includes referrals too. We have a lot of vendors, as you know, you're one of them, that we refer to our clients. We try to do things a little differently. We want to be a solution for all the problems that could come up during the move.
You mean there's problems during moves?
Oh, yeah. They say moving is supposed to be, I think they say, the top 3 or top 5 most stressful things you'll go through in your life.
Right after home buying, right?
I'd like to think that we try to mitigate that stress. Speaking of home buying, yeah, absolutely. Home buying, they say, is stressful as well, but we just bought a home, and thanks to you, I didn't really feel that stressed out. In fact, I didn't even think I was buying a house until it came to going to the bank and having to wire the money. It was seamless.
Well, it's great. It's great to see people, purchase their first home. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. And you're young, and you deserve it. And we were so thankful as a team to be able to serve you and your family into the beautiful home that you have.
Yeah, everybody involved was amazing. You, along with everybody else, Michelle Tanner, all the people that were involved. I just can't believe, because I watch my customers go through their, I hear about what they're dealing with this and a closing issue and this, and I'm not hearing from them. And I didn't feel none of that.
It reminds me of blockchain technology, right? And if you are a realtor and you're new in the business, or even if you've been experienced, you may have kind of a myriad of different vendors every single time you do a transaction. So you might not ever develop that transaction where all your vendors work so closely together like we do. And for us, we really are able to block everybody together and knock the burrs off of all of the problems, from getting pre-approved to shopping for a home, to closing the home, to moving into the home, to getting a roof on the home, to getting tile in the home. Like, you name it, we've got it as our friends and vendors that we all work together with.
And I think another plus on that is that we all work together already. I know that I have people that I use for things in my business, and I go to them for recommendations first, because whoever they recommend, one, they're basically vouching for them, and two, they already work with that person at some degree. So now it's going to be seamless, which is exactly what people get when they hire me and I bring in you and the other people. We already know to work together. Speaking of which, I just had a phone call this morning for a water damage job. And this is somebody I like. We don't have to go through all these details as I would with somebody I've never worked with before. Me and the owner of the company, it's very simple, seamless, because I already work with him. Same thing for our clients. When we work together, it just creates a seamless opportunity.
100%. And when you try to just use random people, you don't get that kind of experience, And if you let your customers just always choose, granted, it's their choice, but you're the expert as a realtor to find them the best possible solution for their outcome, right? And whether it's handing 3 people or handing 3 business cards, or just really understanding who your people need and how you can develop such a great process to make sure that they don't feel the purchase. They don't feel the stress.
I definitely did not feel the purchase.
And they don't feel the stress on the move. And I'm going to say that you moved me into our home You moved us out
Uh-huh.
and you moved us in on the
fly.
same day on the fly. We didn't realize we were closing early. We moved it up. Blake, I'm sorry. Can you accommodate? And you did. And, and it was interesting too, because you're like, listen, what I like about working with you is that if you find that there's some kind of a different aspect to the move, you call the referral partner or me, and you are so upfront about it that it's so important, because usually you're setting this precedence. For instance, you had all your A people, which, already accounted for, and you had some newer people that may have not have worked together all the time, and they were like on your C brigade,
Mhm.
and you said, hey, listen, I can do this, but I want you to know it's the up and comers, right? And we were treated like AP, so it's interesting because you set that precedence for us to have an expectation,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of people, they pretend you're always getting the gold and the diamonds. And you know what? We still got the gold and the diamonds with the C team.
I've told people, all my guys are great. There's of course a handful of them that are just amazing.
Right.
And it's when I have referred clients coming from realtors, coming from anywhere, from you, they are getting prioritized with those best of the best guys, as you would have or should have if it hadn't been on the fly, your move was. So what you ended up, you didn't get my best of my best, but I've told people this. My worst employee, my worst mover is the best
better
employee.
than anyone that I've ever worked with when moving.
If he went to another company, he'd be their number one guy.
Yeah.
Because all of our guys are amazing.
Yep.
But I just wanted to be realistic, if it's a short,
Well, we've referred to a few things, and one of the other things was my wife had actually referred one to you, and she had told you that the build was complete and you were ready to move in and do it that day. But the thing is sometimes the customers leave out some information, and there was no sidewalk, right? And you were like dirt and blocks, and you can't roll anything over that. So what I love though is you called to say, hey, this isn't exactly what we thought going in, and maybe the customer might complain or say something because really it wasn't, the expectations weren't what we had from the move. And you know what? The next minute you're like, nope, you know what? We fixed it. We made a plywood driveway and we fixed it and we're good. And again, that is so important as a business owner, to own it, set proper expectations, and deliver, like literally.
Well, as a referral partner, anytime somebody passes us a referral, we want that move to go flawless. That is, they get my priority, the office's priority, everybody. So if there's any issues that do come up, I am calling whoever referred just to say, hey, this is what's going on right here, so that they can hear about it up front before hearing about it later on. And luckily for this one that was referred by Valentina, we made it work.
Yeah. And I want to say that that's something that's almost unheard of. I've never had any vendor from anything do that and set the proper expectations.
We care a lot about our referral partners. It's a big part of our business. Major.
And you moved my son and they loved it. Like, so, what I want to say is, I have a lot of experience working with you. And when you get to work with a vendor, a partner, a friend that you're literally excited to send the referral out because you're going to look like a superstar for connecting them. Like it's like, I can't even describe what that's like to have in your pocket, because I'm more valuable for knowing you.
I appreciate that. We appreciate that.
And you just, and it comes back and it works, and it creates synergy with our realtor partners where they now do more transactions because they shine.
That's our goal. We want to make our referral partners look good. As I've said, this, anytime we get a referral from somebody, we take that move and we offer them certain things, whether it be a discounted rate, whether it be a couple of free wardrobe boxes, something, whatever we do, we give it to for them. But we always tell them that's because so-and-so referred you. You passed me a referral, I'm going to do something special for them, and I'm going to make sure I outline it so they see it. I'm going to say, since you were referred by Tony Fitzgerald, we're going to go ahead and cut your rate down. We're going to go ahead and those mirror boxes that you need, those couple of mirror boxes, free. Mattress bags, sure, why not? We're not going to give them like $800 in materials, but maybe 20 here, 10 there, couple of little, whatever we can do. But we're always going to say it's because of the referral partner, because we want them to go back to the referral partner and say, oh my gosh, Tony, you're so amazing. You got me the best moving company in town, and they took care of me. They gave me a deal because I was referred by you. Thank you. Makes you look great.
100%. And, and my son was so thankful too. He just sent you a fairly decent move.
That was a good one.
Right?
That was a fun one. It's on YouTube. That was a big move.
Yeah,
that was a record-breaking sale on Bird Key. I went for $11.5 million, and we had the pleasure of moving the previous tenant out for the new one.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And that, I guess what I want to highlight by that is when you're working with the same people and you develop such great relationships, the synergy that you can create not just about making money,
right?
But about the influence and help that you can provide to people, and the stress-free environment you can provide by working with people that are seamless. Because I've contrary to, you moving me, I've had a bunch of other movers, and
what?
They were terrible.
No,
it was terrible. The people were nice, but they didn't care.
Yeah.
And when it came to moving a TV, they're like, no, that's on you. And when it came to moving anything with glass, they're like, no, we're not going to move that. And you have found a way to create such a great employees. To hire great employees and to make them satisfied so that you'll move everything.
Company culture.
Everything. Mm-hmm. You'll move, forget the 86-inch screen TVs. You'll move the grand piano. You'll move the safe. You'll move a gazebo.
Yeah. Company culture. I've talked about this before. I didn't know what I was doing in my first, second, third year in business, as I was just doing everything I could to take care of my guys. And if I felt like something was wrong, I would find some way to turn it around. And at around year 5, I realized I actually created something that made Sunshine Movers who it is today. And that's the company culture that we have. And now it's a process. Now we know every quarter of the year, we've got to do something like a block party, take the guys to a Buccaneers game. Or for example, this Sunday, we're going to be at the putt-putt golf over by UTC, videographer all included. We're going to have classroom time before that, a nice company breakfast, and this is what it takes to get the guys. You work with somebody left and right every single day. It's one thing when you work with them every day, but you got to remember that they're a human and that they're a person. And when we go and do stuff like this, it brings out the other side of these people. And it's important for them as employees to see the other employees as humans, as people. So when we have a good time like this, it builds a relationship that's outside of just wrapping furniture up and moving it and dealing with the stresses every single day. So it's huge. And I honestly love that I can do it. It's not cheap, but I love it.
No, and it's not about the cost for you at all, right? It's about treating people right, and it comes back.
Mm-hmm. My early years in business, I used to look up to a lot of people. If I was moving, I still do. If I move somebody that's wealthy, that's got their things together, seems like they're a good person, I'll watch them. I was the mover. I would watch them. I would, pick up on what it is that makes them who they are. I'd find out what they did for a living. There's a guy in town. He's a home builder, very prominent home builder here in town. And we did a lot of work for this guy. And he told me one time, he said, Blake, because he saw me as a young entrepreneur. He says, Blake, don't chase the money. It's not about the dollars. If you focus your time and energy on taking care of everyone around you, not just your employees, not just your customers, but everyone around you, the money will follow. You don't have to look at it. You just look at taking care of people and everything else will fall into place. That's been one of my favorite things that anybody's ever told me, because it's so true. And it's exactly what I do. 100%.
Yep. And, one of the things we talk a lot. So, together, I appreciate, again, our friendship and our partnership, but I love hearing all of the things that maybe might pass other people. But I remember that you will shut down your trucks and have the guys clean them and just feed them breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
And take a day off to make sure that the equipment is in order. And I can't tell you how many U-Hauls or how many other things I've run that they're just trashed.
Yeah.
And a clean environment coming from firefighting, coming from any kind of industry, like woodworking, anything you're doing, a clean environment is a safer environment too, for chips, dings, falls, tripping with carrying any furniture. So like
Sometimes
you
gotta
worry
stop.
about the details, and I love that.
Sometimes you got to stop and do a little reset. And yeah, we are a luxury home moving company. I mean, we move regular houses, but we also deal with white leather sofas and all these. We want to make sure that the trucks are clean. They have all the equipment that they need. There's quite a few different. There's a list of things that we keep on this truck to accommodate certain situations or pieces of furniture. So when you have 10 trucks, it can get a little squirrely. So yeah, it takes taking a day off every once in a while just to go through everything and just a little upkeep with the guys and a little train like, hey, this is how we do things. This is where everything goes. And, that's what we do. It's worth it.
And I love that you got your training room.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Our big old conference room set
I just
up like
don't
a classroom.
know a single mover that has that kind of thing. Maybe there are.
There are a couple. I'm unfortunately for me, I don't have friends. All my friends are moving company owners, real estate agents, and people like you, mortgage lenders.
Well, and I think that the other mortgage companies other moving companies are really taking note of what you're doing.
Oh man.
You have been in this business 10 years and you're becoming a leader in the industry.
Yeah.
Like not just in Sarasota.
No, it's across the entire country.
Yeah.
So we started doing things. We've been doing things like cooking breakfast for the guys, taking them out to Buccaneers games. But over the last, I'd say 3-4 years, we've really went heavy on trying to capture it, whether it be photos, hiring a videographer, basically letting people know, hey, this is what we're doing for our guys. Because I want potential employees to see if they see what's going on over here, maybe they want to come work over here. Well, what that did though, putting all this out there, showcasing it, videos, pictures. So all the other moving companies are seeing it. And now I can tell you there's over a dozen moving companies that have bought the exact same grill that I have that cook breakfast for their guys in the morning and record it and stuff like that. Taking them to company outings. And, it's like I started a trend here, but you know what? If I don't look at it as being copied, I look at them as they see an opportunity of something to do for their company. So you know what I look at? I just spread a trend or an opportunity that's now taking care of employees across the country. Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, you haven't just made the local industry better by only having your business be better, but you've spread that culture around the nation and brought the entire industry up. And at 10 years in this business, at 35 years old, like that's great.
I'm very proud. I'm proud to be sitting here with you right now. I'm proud of where we are. I'm proud of the relationships that I have. I mean, this wasn't in the plan. No clue. Yeah. I'm just proud of all this. And I want to say again, thank you, Tony, for having me here. This is awesome, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you too. One of the things that when you started out, you said you were 24 years old.
I was. Yeah.
So 24 years old, I mean, that's not too far out of high school, right? And a lot of people at 24 have no clue what they're doing, no clue what they want to do. And what was your linchpin that out of what you had prior, all of the business that you did prior, like I think you said you did like frame, drywall.
Yep, drywall, construction. Drywall finishing was a big piece of my background.
Where did you decide to get into moving? And then where did that turn into your business?
Well, I was there with, it was me and the guy that I worked with. He owned the company, the construction company, handyman, drywall, we do everything. Sitting there, he took a phone call. This guy named Mark, there's a guy in town in Bradenton. This is now a friend of mine now, this guy Mark, but at the time I did not know Mark. Well, Mark calls my buddy Matt, and Matt gets off the phone with Mark and looks at me and says, Blake, do you want to go move some furniture? I said, what?
Because that's not your business right now.
I have no clue what this is. I'm like, I thought he was joking at first. But he tells me, he's like, hey, my buddy Mark, he's got a moving company. It's just a one truck kind of thing. He picks up jobs here and there. I guess this guy, Mark, his guys didn't show up. So he was sitting there by himself at a house, needed to move these people. And he called Matt to get some help. So me and Matt went and helped him. By the end of the day, Mark says, you know what? Those same guys that were going to help me, I got this day and that day, I've got moves scheduled and I need help. I'm like, Mark, I'll come. I like this. This is cool. So I went and I did it a couple of days. Then I did it some more. About 30 days, give or take, 45 days, I went back and forth between Matt and Mark. I would work. Sometimes at one point they'd be fighting, like, no, I need him that day. But I would be working with the both of them. Mark, I would watch Mark take the calls and say, sorry, I'm booked that day, and just hang the phone up. I'm like, oh my gosh, here's my opportunity. And that's what I told Mark. I wasn't trying to do anything like buy a truck and steal his business or anything like that. Like I told him, I said, Mark, I've been thinking about starting a company, something like a drywall company. But, I really like this and I'd like to buy a truck and I'll keep you busy. You can come work with me. And if I don't have a job, I'll go work with you. And that's what we did. And it worked out like that for a couple of months. I have very, I didn't realize this then, but I have very, very high standards for my clients. And so my standards were above what he would do. We're friends, but we quickly realized, like, I'm the young guy. He was the old guy. I was trying to do things like A1 perfect. So for me to say something to him like, hey, Mark, let's redo that.
Yeah.
But we're good friends to this day. I mean, we help him out all the time. Like he's still got a small company and we throw him odd jobs and stuff like that. Or if we have a big pack job, we'll have him come out because I appreciate him. He doesn't even, like, I know he knows that he got me into this industry, but there's things that I do that to show appreciation because they should,
Of course, you should always appreciate where he came from.
I bought my first truck. It was yellow. That's why we called it Sunshine Movers.
That's great.
Now I know because I help other people starting businesses. There's a list of things that you need to do before you even name your company. One of which is make sure that there's not another one nearby. So that's something, that was one of the crosshairs that I'm into, but it's fine. We got it all worked out. There's another one not too far away, but let's say you're in Parrish and you search up Sunshine Movers, you might get a different company that pulls up.
So make sure you look for that logo.
Sunshine Movers of Sarasota is the actual name of it, but eventually we're going to buy them out. We have to. Small company. We'll have to buy them out. That way I don't have to worry about the name.
That's good. So if you're watching this and you want to sell your company.
I've called him already. I've called him and left a voicemail. Haven't heard anything, but maybe I'll go down there and knock on the door.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes door knocking is the best way to go. That's right. So listening to you and thinking to myself, like, moving stinks, right? Like as a homeowner thinking about moving, no one could imagine doing it for a living for the most part, right? And what I want to reiterate is not only were your guys good, but they smiled all the time and all day and would maybe not sing, but like be happy and yes, sir, thank you. They would come and ask us like, hey, I'm not really sure what to do with this. What would you like me to do? How would you like, and it's tough to think. I mean, everybody watching this, if anyone is thinking right now that they've moved and it stinks, to keep your guys happy and to enjoy the process, like you've got to have a great company. And I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. I've told people to touch on that. There's a lot of different things that you will run into, different services that you will go through, whether it be hiring a painter, or doing all. In my opinion, moving is one of the most important times that you need to have good customer service and quality. You have so much going on before, during, and after your moving process. If you're buying or selling a home, you already know, especially, that's a lot of work that goes into that. And it also becomes a domino effect, too, if something goes wrong. All it takes is one thing to go wrong, and then that lands on the next thing and the next thing, and it pushes things down. If your moving company calls you up and says, sorry, our truck broke down, or only shows up with 2 guys and they were supposed to have 4, I mean,
that's super common.
The repercussions that come from issues from the move are huge, and I recognize this. I don't understand how some moving companies don't. They just let it be relaxed, but for me, I do. That's part of why we're on time every time. Where communication is on point. We make sure that the customer needs to make any changes that they understand to let us know, so that we don't have surprises. Because hey, it's easy when you're moving. There's a lot of things going on. And if something changes, you may forget to tell the moving company. Well, that's why we reach out to you days before the move and say, hey, has anything changed? We want to make sure that everything is covered. But also the guys. Got to have good guys. Gosh, I mean, I think about this business and I started like, how tough is this? We've got trucks, liability. We've got guys. It's not just like guys outside working on your house. These are people in your house touching everything that you own. This is it's an intimate process. You know, we are in there inside of your home and your new home. It's extremely important that you have good guys. I mean, obviously background checked and all that stuff, but attitudes, how they react, how they speak to you, that's huge.
Attitude is huge. And I'd like to touch on, because I know this from watching you more than and being experienced from your service. I think they think, okay, I'm going to move. I'm going to move stuff, but I can get a U-Haul and I can go hire some cheap labor and put it all together and I've got to move. And it's not that, because that becomes a disaster, right? And it's not that much, if any, more expensive to hire a professional company like you, because the damage that can ensue that it has every single time I've had to move is much more expensive than if I would have done it right. You know, I didn't know you prior to the moves, you know, and I would have 100% hired you. Bless you. And from coming early to pre-pack stuff, to making sure it's packaged right, to making sure there's a plan to move, you have the logistics set up, and you're making sure that the truck is packed because shift happens. Right?
Shift happens.
Shift happens.
I like it.
You know, and that's the stuff that, you know, you as a person that's just out there hiring a couple dudes and a truck is so much very different, you know?
It's not just the damages. It's the being on time. It's the following up. It's having everything that you need. We're not just there to solve problem X. We're going to figure out how to solve Y and Z, even if that means getting you a referral partner of ours to come out there. We've ran into some interesting situations where we've saved the day, and it's not something that was really in our wheelhouse. We're a moving company. Why are we helping you to set up a contractor? Well, it's because we care.
And so many people just wash their hands of that. Oh, that's not me.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about it. What's your most interesting thing that you helped somebody with that was outside of your wheelhouse?
Well, there's the helping the customer chase her dog down 2 blocks over. That was a fun one. Definitely during the storm the Ian, the hurricane, we helped people do some interesting things, wiping down furniture that had been exposed to outside, like the rain and stuff like that. That was.
So you mean you didn't just move it and stick it on a truck? And
no, we made sure that everything was legit and clean and stuff like that.
So you did, in the fire department, right? We do that too. We want to have loss mitigation, right? So you did the overhaul and cleanup, right? And the salvage to make sure that their stuff doesn't get further ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to make sure all bases are covered for my clients. And if there's anything that I can ever do, even if it's out of my wheelhouse, it helps us. It helps us. It helps them. It helps us. It makes the move less stressful. It's, you know.
Yeah. And you're super creative. And what I've seen come out of that storm is the partnerships that you have with the restoration companies, where you go in, you'll take out that furniture, you'll even store it if necessary, you know, and you've got a place to store it.
Yeah, we do
for long-term and interim, and sometimes for short moves right in your truck for a couple days to save people money and double moves.
Yeah, so we do have a couple of different things that we do that help people out: remediation companies, realtors, etc. We do offer storage. So obviously, if there's a storm that comes in, they're going to need to take that stuff out while the house is remodeled. We can accommodate all of that. We also understand the water damage side of this business, and know to look, because we may be lifting that furniture up for the first time. It might have already been inspected from what they could see, but when we lift it up, you might see on the bottom edges of it, you know, the beginnings of growth, of mold. Well, we know to stop right there, say something, get the remediation company to come out, spray it down with some bio, it gets rid of the mold before it goes into storage, because God forbid that go into storage and spread to the rest of over the 6 months. So yeah, we work with them on that. For realtors, there's sometimes have closing issues with their clients. We see it all the time. They have to they close on one house on one day and they close on the next house the next day. So we'll hold their stuff in the truck. Let's not make them move twice. We're not going to take them to storage, make them pay for a whole month of storage just to go into storage. put it in the truck, leave it in the truck. Worst case scenario, we've seen like 3 days on the truck. It's not great for us because it's tying up one of our trucks, but we get it. This is part of our business, you know? So yeah, we that's one of the few ways that we accommodate our, the people that we work with for these interesting situations.
Well, and being creative and flexible is super important in any profession. And I see that you do that all the time.
You have to. You have to be different. We're not the same. We're not an ordinary moving company. You know, we come up with every which way we can that makes sense for us to accommodate our clients, accommodate interesting situations, and then wrap a set of processes around it. Everything gets a process. All these interesting things, just like me taking my guys out once every quarter, there's a set of processes around it. And pretty soon, we're going to build it into a budget through our P&L and all that stuff. And so we'll know how many dollars per quarter we can take and give to the guys, whether it be bonuses, taking them out. Because as we grow as a company, we want to make sure that those bonuses and what we do for them grow. You know, I told somebody, if we ever franchised out, had another franchise, one of the biggest pieces of that franchise would be these systems in place to take care of the employees, because that's 80% of how we got where we are right now. And again, process is wrapped around that. It's mandatory.
Might see you on Undercover Boss someday, huh?
Yeah, one day. I don't know. It's going to be tough because everybody knows who I am.
Yeah, that's funny. You'll have to have really good makeup.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you do a lot of video. How important is video to any business, right? How important is video to any business for to move you forward?
It works so many ways. You know, everybody, whether it be for advertising, for educating your clients. That's for me when I started doing it. I wanted to educate my clients. I've got packing videos. We have customers that want to pack themselves. It's common. But then there's weird items that doesn't fit in your typical box. And so what happens is when we show up, it's not packed or it's packed incorrectly, then damage could happen. Well, I don't want that. So I wanted to educate my customer. I could just say, you know what? We're going to repack that. We're going to charge you all this money. But if my customer genuinely wants to pack it themselves, let me teach them how. So I've got packing videos. I got how to do this, how to pack a lamp, how to pack artwork, how to pack canvas art. And then that kind of went into, okay, well, I'm enjoying this. And I know that advertising is a thing. It's a big part of our business. So let's make some advertising videos. So that's what we do when we do those. Now we just recently, for our YouTube channel, we hired a virtual assistant that is going to take all my videos and start chopping them up and turning them into those typical YouTube videos where you see like interesting colors on the front page to get your attention on it. But it's all about helping our clients, you know, tips for moving with pets or what to expect on move day. The one that I just did last week was how to compare moving quotes, because they are not apples to apples. Even if you think they are, they're not. There's a lot of things to look for, and clients should be aware of that. So I made a whole 10, 15-minute video about comparing quotes. So yeah, video is huge, big time. You got to find a good videographer. You can use your cell phone. You can go give that a try. But I'm telling you, a videographer that knows how to edit them will make a massive difference.
Yep. Who do you use?
Oh, I use Max Shoe Productions.
That's right.
They are amazing.
The very place that we are right now.
Is that where we are?
In their podcast studio, right?
Look at that.
Yeah. You know, and Kareem is editing this on the fly. And what I'm going to ask him to do is to put your Sunshine Movers video with your family in it at the end of this. If he can edit that in, that'd be cool. Really cool. So that when people are watching this at the end, they can watch that, because we are here for you.
We are here for you, Tony.
I love it. It's such a great video, and they do such great production, and I'm so happy to be able to work with them and partner with them for this podcast and to refer them out to people. That's another, you know, link in our referral list that just helps everybody move their needle forward.
Yeah, they're an easy referral. Yeah. For sure. It's for anybody that wants good video. You know, a lot of people don't see the potential, the power of it, but it is so amazing.
Great video. Great video. Holly, No Blues News. I mean, great video.
Yeah.
You know, she's doing a lot of her shoots here. There's a lot of people that we see do shoots right here.
Just another example of how we work together so well. Between me, you, them, the others that we work with in our circles. It's amazing.
Yep. You know, you were talking about, circle back just a minute for the process, right? And it's interesting because I find process very similar. I need to have a process for everything. And I always figure if it happens once, it's going to happen again. Mm-hmm. And to keep you off from being off guard, if it's something that's really far out in left field, to develop the process to recognize it early and rein it in, because, sometimes it just happens with whatever you're doing. So we have, every time I have something new, we have a process for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you do the same thing.
Yep. I always have. And then recently I've gone through a couple of different business coaches. Right now I've got one, a pretty big deal of a life coach. And he's a business coach as well. But for me, I'm getting a lot more value out of the life side. But we were talking about, as a business owner, and I think a lot of business owners can relate to this. As a business owner, we're used to having things come up, fires that stop everything that we're doing right dead in our tracks. And at some point, if you're dealing with them quite a bit, at some point you just get tired of it and you want to throw in the towel, and it's really tough. But that's where these processes come in play. And my business coach, what he told me is, you can't get upset when a fire comes up. You should get excited, because you just found an opportunity to build a process that's going to allow you to take a very long vacation at some point in your life. Because the more that happens now, the more you're going to get solved, and that way you can then reap the benefits later on. So every time something happens, don't look at it as a problem, look at it as an opportunity. Every fire is an opportunity to create a process, to have a company that you can walk away from at some point later on that'll run smoothly.
And that kind of thing creates massive growth for yourself as a person, for your employees, for your business.
Yeah. Speaking of growing, for your employees, and I will give you one thing that I did recent. I hired a business coach for my key employees in my office, and I cannot tell you how amazing that is. What a great idea that was, because they are flourishing. I took a call today, and she says, "Hey, I need a template." I said, "What for?" She says, "Oh, we're putting together these thank you emails that we're going to send out to our referral partners." What? Usually I'm the one who comes up with these types of things and stuff. And now all of a sudden it's coming from my office.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, that is awesome.
And that's exactly what you want to create as a business.
Mm.
I mean, it's amazing. For a long time, you feel as an entrepreneur that you're steering a solo ship, even though you've got people on board and you're treating them well. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for other people to catch on to say, "Hey, here's another great idea."
Mm.
And when they get in that groove, and I think it's amazing that you hired a business coach for them, because that groove is met so much faster than on their own.
And as I told them, because I didn't want them to think I'm hiring a coach to give you some stuff to do because I want you to work harder. No, I wanted them to learn how to do their job more efficiently with less stress. I was hearing little issues with some of our processes, and as I'm trying to dive into them, I'm realizing like this could use some professional help. Of course I could do it, but then it would just take more time. So I told each of the people in my office, I said, I'm doing this for you. I want you to be able to A, earn more money, or B, have more free time, whatever you choose. I mean, whatever they want out of life and this career, I'd like them to get it. And that's why I got them a business coach. Let's run more efficiently. Let's give you options. Let's grow this company with you at the top. And if you want to make more money, great. Or if you want more free time, we can build it that way as well. But I did it for them, for sure.
And that's why so many people stay with you and want to work with you. And are you still hiring? How many more people do you need?
We're always hiring. We're always hiring because we're always growing. We always have more trucks than we need on purpose. That way, if something was to happen, we always have room to grow. We are staying booked out and turning down jobs, staying about a week to 2 weeks booked out and turning down jobs on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But I'll just put it out there. I would rather turn down jobs and just let anybody walk in here and then dilute our quality. So we have high standards.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's right. Getting from 24 to here, could you point out maybe your biggest obstacle or your biggest struggle that maybe another entrepreneur
Absolutely
might run into?
Absolutely. Hiring a position that's never been had before. When you are growing your company and you are hiring a position that you have never filled, like let's say you start off, it's maybe you and 3 people, and you don't have an office manager, you don't have anybody taking the calls, you don't have anybody doing the scheduling yet. Well, when it's time to fill that position, you bring somebody in, you don't really have a set role for them. You're still kind of figuring it out. So my advice would be, because this is what I went through. As the owner of the company, your processes can be very gray area, meaning you don't have to have a set, okay, if this happens, I say that, because we know what to say because we're the owner. We're always going to say the right thing. But when you bring somebody in and they step into that gray area, that's when it's going to get interesting. They're not going to know what to say like we do. So it's important that as we grow our companies, it's important that we look at each of the positions that we're sitting in. In my opinion, I think we should live in each of the roles of our company for a period of time to see where the fires are, see what kind of a job description we can turn it into, and have it prepared for the next person that you do hire to bring it in. But for me, that was definitely the hardest. That was one of the roughest things for me, was filling positions we've never had, and then going through the learning curves. And that's when I identified the gray area that a business owner, we can navigate no problem. But when you bring somebody else in, there cannot be gray area. It needs to be black and white.
Right. I agree with you. And, having those set expectations for that position on how, and I find when you're doing that, you don't have to have maybe this is exactly what you say, but here's your guideline, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make it yours.
Checklists.
Right.
Checklists.
And make sure that we cover this and that, because employees don't like to be micromanaged, but they love direction. And if you can give them the guidelines and let them pick out the tactics,
Mm-hmm.
right, and make sure that they're in line with your checklist, I mean, it allows them to grow and own the position.
Yeah, checklists is a big one. I've had enough people pound it into my head, checklists for everything. I mean, not just work. How about taking your boat out? There should be a checklist, right? There should be, make sure you have your plug, your life jackets, the keys, make sure that you test the batteries, all these different things.
Yeah.
You kind of want to go down that, because how many times, I mean, not just taking your boat, but like going and running an errand, like, oh, I forgot that thing. That's where these checklists come into play. So
right.
Checklists they're great for your business, but they also work great for life in general.
Right. I think that's great advice for people, especially when they're growing, because that first hire, and would you recommend, I've heard this and I believe in this, hire before, not way before you need it, but before you need it, because our job as a business owner and runner of our business, a manager, is to do the things that we are best at. And I've always been told, and I've always believed that you can, if there's something else you can leverage that takes your best time to be able to go do what you're best at, you leverage that employee as soon as possible. What would you recommend? When
you should always know your next two hires. You should always have a direction of your company, even if it's just what you assume to be your next two hires, and everything can change. Any plans you ever put together for your business can always change, but it's still good to have a plan and have something that you can look at and something that you can work towards. So again, I always know my next two hires. What are my next two employees going to be? And then I will put feelers out there. So before I put an ad on, let's say, Craigslist, Indeed, or anything like that, I will reach out to my circle and say, hey, just so you guys know, and you've seen this, you've actually handed us, sent people phone numbers my way, but I'll go and check with them. Hey guys, over the next few months, we're going to be looking for an outside salesperson. This is what I'm looking for. I'll give that a month. And then when it is kind of time where I really start looking at it, then I'll go and put it on Indeed. It's hard to find good help these days. It is. Yeah, you should be putting feelers out there much ahead of time. Don't feel bad. Do the interviews. If you can be upfront with them, say this might not be a position that's open for another month, but realistically, and this has happened to me, I had a salesperson, matter of fact, that we just hired that starts at the end of this month. I wasn't hiring. I was one of my next two employees that I was hiring. So when she walked in my door, and I know who she is very well, I got excited. Without a doubt, she's hired. I wasn't planning on hiring that position for another couple months. So keep in mind what your next couple of hires are. Throw some feelers out there, because you never know what kind of an opportunity may come. And if that golden nugget of a person walks in the door and you're still a couple of months away from hiring that position, it's a no-brainer. You hire them right there.
Yep. And that's a growth mentality. And I think there's a lot of people that purchase a business or get into a business, and really what they've done is purchased a job.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And no matter what you do, right, you really don't want to purchase a job. You don't want to have a business that's just your job, right? So there are people maybe in your first position that just have a truck and just move, and there are people in other businesses that maybe can't think beyond the fact that they got to bust their butts every day just to make sure that they don't lose everything, right? And it takes you to be forward thinking, to take that leap of faith, to hire that position that lets you go do, let you be a business owner, right? And I know you're an owner operator, but you choose to be the operator. You choose to help because that's what a good owner does, right?
Absolutely.
And
my guys appreciate when if I know somebody needs help and I'm free, I'm going to help them.
even sweeping and mopping the floor.
Absolutely.
You
My
know?
office can appreciate that one.
And I think it was always great. And we talked about this the other day, like, don't ever stop doing that, right? Like, at some point, even the biggest CEO should go do that, of the biggest company. Because as a firefighter, it was always great when the chief would come out and help, but rarely would you ever see that kind of thing where the chief was out helping,
I see two reasons to do it. One is so you can remember what it's like, because you may be, and I've had this happen, I'm looking at processes way over here, but yet when I go out in the truck, I see something that, okay, well, that process needs to change a little bit because this is actually happening like this. You want to stay familiarized with all the things that go on in your company, because you may be working on something that's way left field, but it still has something to do with that. So it's important to know. The other reason is simple. Your employees will appreciate it. When they see somebody,
100%.
we've had some new guys lately. This is kind of funny. I've got an operations manager, and he does the hiring and stuff like that. So we're getting to a point now where when I show up on a morning, there might be somebody I haven't met yet. And maybe he might have just started 3 or 4 days ago. So I'll show up and there's people that I haven't even met yet. And they don't know who I am. There's other people in this company who
So it is undercover boss.
a little bit. But then like the other day, we had this high-end water damage job. We're still dealing with the hurricane stuff. And I'm out there and I was helping the guys get it all put in storage and stuff like that. And the guy introduces himself to me thinking I'm one of the movers. Real nice guy too. He's like, "Hey, I'm Marcus." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Blake." And he's like, "Wait, so you're the owner?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh man." He's like, an owner that knows what he's doing, he's like,
Yeah.
"Wow, I was like, "Yeah, none of the other companies like this?" He's like, "Oh man, no." But it was just like, and I got goosebumps. Like when he
That's
realized I'm
exciting.
the owner, and then it was like, "What? This guy is sitting here moving furniture with me?" Heck yeah, I am.
That's exciting. And to tie that back into, if you're by yourself running your business and it's running you, you have to branch out. Or, hey, if you're a moving company and you just want to go, plug into Blake too, you might be making more money per hour, as to just doing your own truck. But Blake also gives advice to other moving companies to get, again, you want to change the industry.
It's not just moving companies. It's anybody.
Yeah.
I love, I don't consider myself a business coach, but I have just lived these last few years in growth mode, going from 1 truck to 3 trucks to now going on 10 trucks. It's very fresh to me and I enjoyed it. Every single time that we accomplished something, I got excited about it. And now with that excitement, it's good to have here and here. But if I help somebody else out with that same process, I'm reliving that excitement. So when I'm working with some of my friends or business owners that are in our circle and they're maybe a smaller company or sometimes a little bigger, and they have a situation that I've went through, I get excited to help them. Like I love it. I've over the last week, I've probably spent 7 hours with different company owners on the phone, just brainstorming, just going over stuff. Maybe I got something out of it, maybe I didn't. But the fulfillment was there on every single one of them.
For sure. To share what you know and what you're good at is phenomenal.
It's exciting. I love it.
And I've heard, what is it? People that do, people that don't teach. And there is some truth to that, right? There are some people out there that are teaching or coaching, but they've never really had great accomplishments. And then there's people that are just really great producers, but could never be a coach save their life because they're very self-serving, and not in a bad way. I just mean that's really their production is. If you're looking for advice from someone, a business owner that has made something happen, that is also really great about sharing, is your perfect coach. Always, and I love that you do that. I love to do that too. Anytime I see a need, setting up an appointment.
I know I know it because I'm talking to you. We talk all the time, and I've had situations, and you've dove right in there. So yeah. I know it. There's a few of us out there, people that like to help. There's quite a few, actually. Yeah. I think it's just getting into the right circle or the right people or meeting the right people at the right times. But I'm one of them. If there's anybody listening to this, you've got a service industry business, you got any type of business, you want to brainstorm something with me, I am all ears. I'll take that phone call over any other call that I deal with time and time again. Yeah. I'll put aside time for that too. I could be in the middle of something, but I enjoy that. That to me is my fun time.
That's, business can't all be business. It's got to be fulfillment. If you're not getting fulfillment out of your job, out of your career, and it's interesting too. I want to say with you, people have a career, right? A lot of people that are working for a moving company have a job.
That's
true.
And
it's maybe there for a month, maybe not, and I know that people have a career with you.
I try to make it different. I try to be different. I want these people to have something. I feel like I am responsible in a way of their life and where their life goes, and something else that I do, and this is a good tip for anybody, whether it be the guys, whether it be the ladies in my office, I make sure to take care of their significant other. So you send if it's some sort of holiday, you can send something back with the guys that basically takes care of the whole family, like a $100 gift card to Publix.
Yeah.
Or I had a couple of my ladies in the office, two of them, that were recognized. Like somebody spelled out their entire first and last name on a recommendation on a Facebook. Like, how did you leave that much of an impression where this lady just recommended our company and named you both first and last name spelled correctly? Like, you guys must have done something really well. Yeah. So I got them each a gift card, $100 gift card to a restaurant that they take their other half with, I would hope.
Yeah, that's great. Right. That's great. That's such great advice.
But you take care of their significant other. This is a major tip. If you have a business and you have employees, let me tell you something. If you take care of the significant other, there might be a day down the road where one of your employees goes home and he's disgruntled. He's like, man, I had to deal with this today and that today. The wife, the significant other, may take a moment to talk to him, saying, oh, no, honey, it's going to be fine. It's a good company. You're going to stay there. Yeah. You know what I mean? You want support from the whole family.
100%.
And that's something that we started doing, and I think it's working.
Great. Speaking of family, it's a perfect segue into telling me about your family.
Absolutely. Well, Sunshine Movers is family owned and operated. My kids are a big part of the company. They love it. I use it to teach them fundamentals. So I do have 3 kids. They are ages, they keep changing on me. Hold on. 12, it's 11, 9, and 8. 11, 9, and 8. Yep. 11, 9, and 8. And then my wife, Ashley, she is a big part of the company. Right now, her role is doing in-home estimates. She's actually shifted around a lot in the company as well as I have, but we're about to get her out of that role so she can have some more time with the family, with us at the office. We actually just hired a full-time on-site estimator. But again, my kids, we use the company to teach them fundamentals. Like, they understand employees, they understand how pay works, they understand the importance of taking care of people. They watch this stuff on YouTube, everybody sees all this stuff, and it's disgusting. They say, you're fired, and they make it sound like employers and employees are like this, something going on there. So my kids even made a comment like, they said something about the employees. I stopped them. I said, no. We appreciate these guys. These guys help us have what we have. And it's important that they know that we appreciate them. And when I do stuff like Tanner's Turkeys for Michelle Tanner, she does a turkey drive. It's pretty remarkable. Phenomenal. I brought my son, my oldest son, and he came out and he helped bag up some of this stuff. And I got goosebumps, man. When he walked away from that, you could tell he was excited. He knew because he knew we were doing this for families that were needing. And that's not the only time. I've taken him out to do. When we did, we took the donations down for Compass Realty. We took a whole bunch of donations, water, everything. My kids, right there in it. We all had our nice little tie-dye yellow shirts. It was like a little, our uniform.
That's great.
And they loved every bit of it. They were filling up the waters into the bins and pushing them up. I've got a picture with two of them going up the ramp, pushing this thing up. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
But they're getting an experience of life, a different side that kids don't get. And I make sure every chance I get, because I can see it, when I discuss something, I could see the opportunity to put some good knowledge in their head. And I use the company to do it.
Well, it's great because, I mean, there's family owned and operated businesses. And then there's Sunshine Movers.
Our kids involved, everybody.
And your whole family grows with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say that it's not because people are selfish, right? But people get trapped up in their business and they're worried about their personal growth. And it's easy to overlook. It's easy to overlook your family growth. You think you're providing enough for money or, caring for the supplies. Maybe you're working so much that you're missing events. But to really incorporate your family so that they grow with you, I watch that from you and I admire it so much.
It's important. If anybody ever hires a coach or does any reading on like fundamentals of being happy in life, you're going to see that they call it the wheel or they call it the pillars. But there's pieces of your life that you need to look at: family, finances, spirit, a few other things in there. Health. Yeah, all these things, and that you want them to measure up equally to each other. You don't want to be this at work, but this at family. And it's important that you understand that if you do that, yeah, you might make some money, but you're not going to be happy. You have to make sure each one of those buckets are filled up equally. And that's something that I needed help with, because I will work and work and work and work. And then I look up and all of a sudden my daughter is a foot taller. Like, how'd that happen? It's important that we spend time with our family, that we look at each one of these aspects of our life, and that we put the appropriate amount of time. And if that means going through your schedule and doing what they call block time, where at this time of day, I'm doing this. At this time of day, I'm writing in my journal. At this time of day, I'm going to spend it with my family. We're going to do something like that. Or blocking off time out of the whole month. It's important that you do it. And that's actually something I'm still working on today because I'm such a workaholic. I love it.
Well, you're also hard on yourself. And I think, so I know that from you, yes. Right? And because you want it to be right. And it's not about you wanting to be perfect. It's you want it to be right for others. There's a big difference. And it comes across so much more genuinely when you're working hard to make sure your end product is great for others, not just to be perfect for yourself.
We're building a legacy. This company is eventually going to be in my children's hands. That's actually one of the big things about family-owned companies that people should be aware of, is that usually they're not looking at you as just a customer. They're looking at you as a relationship that they can work with in the future because it's their family's company. It's something that's going to be around. And as a family-owned and operated company, that's how we look at our customers, as they are friends for life. We have relationships with them. And that's important for my kids because we're building a legacy. If they do want to continue the company when they are of age, great. If they don't, maybe we sell it. But my kids are so involved, I'm pretty sure that they're going to want. I can see my daughter being very involved in this company in the back end. I can see my sons having a lot of fun growing this company, but we'll see how that goes.
That's great. My oldest son works with me, mm-hmm. and he's my partner. And he is loan officer and he's doing his own business. And it's been great to see his growth. And my 11-year-old and 8-year-old, they're a little too young for that yet, but it's hilarious because Riley loves to go market. Like if I take him to race him, he goes and hands out. He's like, Dad, can I have some business cards? He's my marketing guy. He's even handing it to the other lenders. They're like, I'm a lender. Okay, here you go. And they all know me. It's funny. And it's great to include them. And I see that if you're not, something that I take from this as a lesson, and I've been really thinking about this, is I'm not thinking far enough in my family's legacy, right? I'm thinking about my kids, but I need to plan for my kids' kids.
That's right.
And we should be really working on what does that look like? How can they provide, and then how can their kids provide? And what can we leave for them? What kind of legacy?
I think a lot of people think about that later on in life.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some moves, pun intended.
Yeah.
I've seen some moves that, as I dug into the details, there's things that are happening for the grandchildren. There's a guy I know, he's got like 23 houses in this one neighborhood. He's wealthy. He's either way. I asked him, I said, what are you doing here? I was like, you're kind of retired and
you got
keep buying this
enough.
property. He told me those properties are for his great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
It's their college funds.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. He's a doctor. He's a surgeon. He's a retired surgeon. And he's buying up all these rental properties. This guy gets out there and cuts the grass. I know because I rented one of his houses. He shows up. He cuts the grass. He gets out there and sweats. And I'm like, I admire this guy. And I found out his story. He bought those houses to take care of his great-grandchildren and pay their tuitions and stuff. Like, what a guy. What a guy.
Good. That's good. Well, before we wrap this up, is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Well, sunshinemovers.com. You want to, if you're looking for a great career or a great place or a great moving company to help you move, we do long distance. We do local moves. We're here in Sarasota, Florida. Anything that I can ever help any businesses or entrepreneurs, I would love to connect with them. That is what makes me who I am. It makes me fulfilled. So happy to work with anybody who's interested.
Well, Blake, I really appreciate your time coming on here. I know it's valuable. I know you're out there busting your butt every day, and I appreciate that you've dedicated this time for,
of course,
Fire Up Your Life for Business.
Of course. I appreciate it, Tony.
Absolutely. And now we're going to play your Sunshine video where Sunshine Movers. We're here for you.
All right. At Sunshine Movers of Sarasota, we're not only family owned, but we treat our team like family, so they take care of you. From the initial estimate to carefully packing your items and moving them into your new home. Moving can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. That's why Sunshine Movers is one of the most trusted moving companies in Sarasota. Sunshine Movers, family owned and operated, committed to our crew, dedicated to our customers.